Hi, colleagues. How are you today? I'm Professor Simon Pegi-Koza. I will be taking this module, which is Curriculum, Context, and Change. The module code is EDCS 702. So this module is one of the compulsory module for curriculum studies. So as you can see my details there, I'm Professor S.P. Koza or Simon Pegi-Koza, who will be coordinating and teaching this particular module. This module will be running online, so we'll use Zoom meetings, which was supposed to start on Monday last week, which is February the 14th, and end towards the end of May, which is the 23rd of May. So the module time is 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock every Monday, doing it online. So what is the purpose of this module? The aim of the module? The aim of the module is to equip you with necessary skills that you can use, knowledge and skills that you can use to critique any curriculum issue that you may come across. So you can see there when you read this learning guide, I've uploaded it as part of your learning site. So you'll see there, it will give you these details. And also you can see some activities that we'll be doing. The dates are here, are indicated, and the content of the module is indicated here. Then when you go down, further down there, you will see some learning outcomes that are indicated as part of the modules. That these are the learning outcomes that you will have to achieve towards the end of this module or during this module. And then time-wise, it started on the 14th of February 2022. We'll then finish by the 30th of May so that we'll have enough time to revise and review other issues that you may need. So I've indicated some resources here that you will be able to take care of. So these are just recommended resources, but you can look for more. Look for more on the issues of curriculum, and especially those that are currently presented 2020, 2021, 2022, and also 2019. You can also look for those, but mostly look for these that are recent. So what will then happen to you during the course of the module? You will be expected to deal with the issue of, in terms of our assessment, we'll have 20% where you will have to be assessed on how you articulate your teaching philosophy. So your teaching philosophy you have been teaching or you taught during the time of your teaching practice. When you taught it there, you have seen that there are specific concepts that you like to use, that you have been using to manage your teaching. So your teaching was driven by specific curriculum concepts. Those curriculum concepts will help you now to frame your discussion. When we ask you to write a teaching philosophy, it means you need to reflect back and think about your teaching. What exactly do you use in your teaching before, so during your teaching and before your teaching? When you plan for your teaching, what do you plan? So when you write this first task, then which should consist of 20% of this module, together with its presentation. So the due date was the 14th, and now I had to move it to the 21st. But now again, I will have to move it to the 28th. You say it's moving slowly, but otherwise I need to see this, how you articulate your teaching philosophy. For example, if you were to teach in the way that Ralph Taylor is teaching, then you were going to identify your specific concept as the objectives that you first articulate or plan your objective, define your objectives. After that, in your planning, you then define the content. What content will I teach? And then after that, you talk about organizational of these activities and resources, which is your fourth concept. And then the last one for Taylor will be assessment, where he will simply say assessment is the backbone of what we are doing. Therefore, I have these four concepts that articulate my philosophy. Taylor's philosophy consists of four issues. The main four issues of curricula, which are curriculum concept. So it's objectives, it's content, and then it's organization of resources and activities, and the last one being assessment, and is using summative assessment. So that's Taylor's philosophy of teaching. So in your case, you also have your own philosophy. There are specific curriculum concepts that you privilege, that you like most in your teaching, that you use to frame your teaching. Therefore, we want to see those then. So when you write this first activity, this assessment task, you will then articulate those, reflect back, and then think about those specific curriculum concept that you use to frame your work. You will then write that teaching philosophy so that you will hand it in on the 28th. And then after that, will ask you to present those issues that you use to articulate your teaching, so that you use to frame your teaching. So, and then we also have two major projects. That the two major projects, number one, they are all both of them are 40%. So the first one will be, you will be required to reflect back on what you have been teaching. Take your teaching philosophy issues, use them to analyze what you have been doing in your teaching all these years. Or if you have only gone as far as teaching practice, tell us what are those concepts, curriculum concepts that you used in order to frame what you were teaching. Then you will then have to write an analysis of one of the lessons that you taught during your teaching practice or during your years of experience where you were teaching. That will be your first one. It will be out of 40%. That 40% will then be submitted to me. It's written here. The due date is the 28th of March. The due date for your first major assignment is the 28th of March. So what will you be doing there? You will remember back lessons that you taught and take one that you think was your most interesting lesson that you taught, and then show us how you used the concept that are identified in the previous task as your own particular curriculum concept. That will be your first major assignment. Your second major assignment will be to say, now that you have analyzed your teaching, you know exactly what your identity is about. Now, take those curriculum concepts of yours, even if it means you have selected a certain theory that give you those principles, then you are interested in using this particular theory. You will take that theory and identify curriculum concepts that are used as principles of that theory. And then you use that to design a lesson plan or a course. So when you design that, you'll design it in such a way that it will then help you to understand your identity or yourself based on these curriculum concepts that you have been using successfully in your teaching. That's what will happen then here. And then you will then compile these 4 activities. That is your teaching statement, your PowerPoint presentation, and the 2 major assignments. You'll combine them to form a portfolio, which you will submit to me by the 23rd of May. By the 23rd of May, we should have finished all these activities, because your first part will be due on the 28th, which is your teaching philosophy, and then you will also have time to present. So that's what you'll do. And then the first major assignment, which is your second task, will be where you analyze a specific lesson that you taught previously using the curriculum concept that you have identified as part of your teaching philosophy. Then the second one, the second major assignment, will be due on the 9th of May, which would be where you will be designing a specific course or a lesson plan using the specific curriculum concept that you have identified. And then when you use them, that's where you will then position them to help you to design a lesson. So which means by the end of this module, you should be able to analyze, critically analyze whatever curriculum is in front of you. With second major assignment, it will help you to now design whatever curriculum that is required to be designed by you. So you see there, you'll be able to analyze curriculum, and then you'll be able to design curriculum. That is the main aim of this module, that you must be able to critique the curriculum and then must be able to design the curriculum. Whether it's online curriculum or face-to-face curriculum, it doesn't matter. You should be able to do that. But where is the key? The key is that you will first have to identify the specific drivers, which is curriculum concept, that drive your thinking. That's what we want to see first before you talk about any other part of this module. So wherever you are, then you make sure that you think back to say, what specific curriculum concept do I use in teaching my learners successfully? You will take those concepts and then articulate them and form your teaching philosophy. So then when you continue then with this, with the presentation for today, so we'll start by first understanding. We first have to understand how we articulate, or how we think, our thinking processes. So here, remember the module is curriculum, context, and change. Here is the module code, but all these issues, the document that you need, you'll find them from this particular website. Here is this particular website, which is Learn 2022. And I've noticed that you have already visited it. Therefore, make sure that you access all that documentation that are there. Even this presentation is there already. You can access it and deal with it from there. Now, in terms of then dealing with the issue, I want us first to go back to say, when we deal with issues, where are we processing them? Remember, when we were born with active unconscious mind. So the unconscious mind is the mind that helps us to move, breathe, cry, heartbeats, all those body systems are called unconscious mind because they are controlled by the unconscious mind. So they are naturally driven by unconscious mind. So when you were born, that's why you were so smart like that. You were able to move, able to punch, you were able to kick. When you were kicking like that, you were just using your unconscious mind. So unconscious mind is helping us even to digest, to breathe, to do all those things. So that's why the child, if you have a child after birth, a child will then start to move, to do all these smart things. The intelligence of the child is coming from the unconscious mind. So our mind is divided into three categories. There's this unconscious mind, which was active even when we were in our mother's stomach. So that unconscious mind was still active. But when we came out then, we started to be influenced by other people through our subconscious mind. Subconscious mind, it's a bank that bank our activities. All activities, actions that we are coming across since conception, we started to code, to bank something, to bank how these things are smelling, the smell, using different senses. When we coded, when we experienced those issues, we banked them via the subconscious. So subconscious is a big bank. It doesn't get full. Your unconscious also, it doesn't get full because it's helping you to move to your body. It's moving well using the unconscious. Even if you are fast asleep, the unconscious is working because it's helping you to breathe, to digest, to do all those activities, to perspiring method, all those are function of your unconscious mind. But then the bank now, we store everything, every experience via the subconscious mind. So which means if someone believes in something, you must know that that person the tools are in the subconscious mind. When you feel bad about something, the tools are in the subconscious mind. So all the habits, emotion, feeling are all in the subconscious mind. So we use subconscious mind. So we retrieve them when we need them. For instance, if I have to drive a car, I'm used to it. I drive every day from home to Edgewood. When I drive like that, I may remember, so in other words, I may reason when I leave home, but on the road, I may be going with friends talking. So when I talk there, habits will drive there. So in other words, the subconscious mind will continue driving. It will continue to drive as if I'm concentrating on my driving, yet I'm concentrating on something else. Then, but the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind, they don't reason, so they don't know what you think is right or whatever. All what they do, they process the things as they came to them. Because when you quote them, when you program your subconscious mind with negative issues, with superstitions, with certain belief system, the subconscious mind is not going to lie. It will give it to you as it is. Especially when you are in a situation where you are drunk, the subconscious mind will tell the truth. Even if you can try to hide, it will just tell the truth. Even if you are fast asleep, during your dream, the subconscious mind will be telling the truth. When you are upset, and then you will then tell the truth, because you will be talking from your subconscious mind while you are upset. Or when you are very excited, you will also be jumping, talking from your subconscious mind. That's where these are the conditions that reveal what you have in your subconscious mind. But as human, because we have conscious mind, we are able to hide what we feel or what we believe and pretend and take the opposite. If, for example, if I have someone who enjoys soccer, I may pretend as if I like soccer, yet I don't like it, because I use the conscious mind. Conscious mind is for us to reason, think, intellectualization of what we have. So we intellectualize what we do. So those processes are a function of the conscious mind. But conscious mind does not take, it takes a small chunk or bit of information at a time. So it processes that bit of information. Otherwise, it's limited in terms of time-wise, because we know time from the conscious mind. But when we deal with the subconscious mind does not know what time is it, and then it will deal with it like that until the conscious mind comes to tell the subconscious to say, no, hide this. I only need this information. Then the conscious mind will process that information. But when we do something that we do on daily basis, and then the subconscious mind and unconscious mind will take over, and then you start to work on that. For example, when you eat while you are talking, while you are doing something else, but you can eat well. So when you eat like that, you can see the intellectual of the subconscious mind. You'll be eating via that subconscious mind. And again, when you start to say, no, I don't want to eat anything today, but food is in front of you, while you are not aware, you'll end up grabbing something and then eat it and start to say, oh, no, I was not going to eat today. But subconscious mind does not lie. It does the things that are in front of us. So that's how then we divide this. So then when you deal with curriculum issues, then you already have curriculum issues around your subconscious mind. So when they are there, you now need to go back to retrieve. Use your thinking process. Reason now, concentrate on what you have been doing and try to retrieve it from your subconscious mind and see what exactly was your strong curriculum concept that you use in your teaching. So during the time of this module, all what we'll be doing then we'll be trying to trigger what you have in your subconscious mind, because we need what you have in your subconscious mind, and then help you to direct that information using your conscious mind to say, let's reason now to it. You were doing it habitually. You were doing it habitually because you saw that particular teacher using this, like this and this. Now you are habitually doing it. Now we are saying, let's not habitually do it. Now concentrate on it so that you will be able to adjust what you have in your subconscious mind. That's all what we'll be doing in this module. Adjusting or improving what we have in the subconscious mind with evidence. We read for evidence, because what we have in the subconscious mind, we may have something that we just that we took from other people, what they believe, and then we thought that was going to help us. Then we went through that process. But now that we are dealing with this situation, we will have to straight away go back to that subconscious mind, retrieve what you have there, use your conscious mind to clean it up so that you only have tools that you need in your subconscious mind. Remember what is happening here, that you load your subconscious mind. You have been loading it since you were born. You have started to load it with all these things, the belief systems and that superstition and that, all those are in there. Now we are giving you this opportunity to become aware and clean what you have in the subconscious mind. That's what this module will help you mostly to do. So then now when you talk about curriculum usually is divided. There are two competing forms of curriculum. We have the performance curriculum and we have the competence-based curriculum. Performance curriculum is the one that is driven by specific content, where learners have to master the content. You drill them with the content. But competence-based curriculum is where you give them the learning outcomes, and then you then give them activities in order for them to achieve those learning outcomes with their prior knowledge or experience. So when we divide curriculum, then it's difficult to define curriculum, since it's divided into two at least. So to define it, then for me, when I deal with curriculum, I define it as a plan for teaching and learning, or a plan for action. That's number one. I define that when I refer to a situation where I will have a plan, I'll prepare a plan. If I have to teach, I prepare a lesson plan, and then I follow that lesson plan accordingly, without any deviation. Therefore, when I define that curriculum, then it will be curriculum is a plan for teaching and learning. So I'll define it as a plan for, because I have a plan which has to be taught, which has to be followed. But when I define it as a plan of teaching and learning, is when I define where you teach something, you teach that lesson without a prescribed plan or a written plan. But after we have done that, you start to reflect, to say, this is what I've done. Then you produce a curriculum after that. So a curriculum is any plan for teaching and learning, or any plan for action. Or it can also be a plan of action. So in other words, you have acted on it, now you are producing a plan. So some examples of a plan for teaching and learning is when in South Africa we have a curriculum and assessment policy statement, which is CAPS. That is our plan for teaching and learning. But an example of a plan of teaching and learning is when you refer to your CV. When you apply, they will simply say, send us your CV. So your CV, it's your curriculum. But we have designed that curriculum after you have taught it, because we have experienced all these things that you are now reflecting on. You reflect on what we have been doing, primary education, your secondary education, your tertiary qualifications, all those issues, all those activities will constitute your CV. Therefore, it's a plan of teaching, it's a plan of your action. But if you have a prescribed plan, that's a plan for teaching and learning or action. If you reflect after we have acted, it will be a plan of teaching and learning. So everywhere where you go, you will see that people are just using curriculum to act. So they may act as a plan for, or they may act as a plan of. For example, if I have to build a house, building a house will need a plan. First, I will have to go to the architect and ask for the plan to say, can you design a house that will be double story, blah, 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 something like that. Then builders will need that curriculum in order to follow the plan. They will just follow that. So that will be a plan for building. It's a plan for their building. If you have to produce a film, you do the same. You say, let's design a storyboard. A storyboard, it will be like this and et cetera, then you have it like that. And you also have a script which you will follow. That's a plan for action. That's a curriculum. But they don't call it curriculum, but as curriculum specialist, now you know, whatever they follow, it's curriculum. And again, if you go yeah, but wherever you go, you will see that curriculum is dominating, because building a house, it will need a plan. But others will argue to say, but if I build a house in rural area, I may not need a plan. Yes, you'll need a plan of, because after building that house, building that roundabout, you will be able, you can draw the plan, you can produce the plan after that. But if you go to urban area, they will need a plan, which is a plan for building. But here is a plan of building. When you go to a deep rural area where they don't design plan, they just build houses, and then after they can draw a plan reflecting on what they've done. So that's how curriculum is. So you can see that curriculum is dominating everywhere. Whatever you do is curriculum, because the action you do, whether we have planned it or not planned it, but you are dealing with curriculum. So curriculum for teachers, it's everything, because that's where you have to understand and position every issues accordingly. So curriculum then, it has different levels. There is the level of international curriculum, where you will see that maybe some of your students at your school, they will be writing international exam. So like Olympiad, et cetera, et cetera. So when they do that, they are writing at Supreme, that is international curriculum, competing with other students from outside South Africa. But you also have the macro level of curriculum, which is national. You can refer to CAPS as one example. In 1998, we had curriculum 2005. It was another national curriculum. Then your school will also deal with the issue called MESO curriculum, where you deal with the curriculum at school level to say in this particular school, at this particular school, when you want to produce A's or plus A's, et cetera, 7s and 6, et cetera, according to them, they will have their vision and then follow their curriculum, which is articulating the national curriculum and also the international curriculum. They may not be aware, but when they plan it nicely, it will be linked to the national curriculum in order for our learners to do well at that particular school. And teachers also have their curriculum. They plan their work before they teach. They even have some files, teaching file or teaching portfolio, which they use in articulating their work. So when you produce your teaching philosophy, I want to see it coming as part of that portfolio of yours, which you will be designing for this particular module. When you go to your real life situation in your teaching again, I want to see that, make use of it, because we will be producing this as the basis of controlling the whole world, so that the whole world will follow the curriculum concept that are identified by you, and then you will always be happy, because what you will be doing is that you will be leading the issue of curriculum. So when you lead like that, the whole world may end up following you. But try not to imitate what other people are doing, but go deeper to you, and then from your subconscious mind, take out what is your intelligence. Because remember, you grow up so much like this because inside you there's this particular internal intelligence that is making your world. Whatever you see outside you is just your impression, which you have accumulated all these years, but it's not real. Because if you look at me, then you start to say, I'm ugly. But other people will start to say, no, I'm handsome. You can see there that, no, this exists in you only. It doesn't exist in the entire world, but it's only in your own subconscious mind. Whatever you think is good or bad, remember, it's just your subconscious mind that is telling that. So when you specify this concept, then this concept should be yours, should be according to what your intelligence is doing inside you. Because what we see right now as your body, it's not you, it's just your body. And it's only happening in our subconscious mind. Now, when we see you, when we see your body and think that we see you, no, we are just seeing the light, but what it's you is different. That's what we want you to use. Make use of that intelligence inside you. So the intelligence inside you, it's making you. Because, for example, if we say, what is this? I will say it's my hand. When you point here, I will say it's my head. Then you ask yourself, then who is this person then? If this is his head and his hand, etc., etc. Yes, because you can't see me. I'm inside. I cannot be seen, but the action, you can see the action and then follow there that there's this person. But your intelligence cannot be taken or borrowed by any other person. So that's why then you should make sure that you don't have a role model in life, but you should be your own role model. That's what we want to see. So teachers have their own curriculum then, which is driving them. Learners, when they come to your class, they have their curriculum as well, which is driving them. That's why in my case, I want you to give me your real internal intelligence based on few curriculum concepts that are working well for you, so that I'll then start to understand you. But I know that I cannot understand you in full, because you yourself should also start to understand yourself full, because at the moment, you have not self-actualized in such a way that you understand yourself that much. So that's why you are doing these modules. That's why you are doing honors, because you are on the journey of unfolding who you are, and then use curriculum then to unfold you, because wherever you go, you will be breathing curriculum. And other people will tell you about representation of curriculum to say, are you talking about curriculum as a document which is intended, planned, formal, prescribed, or official curriculum? So if you talk about it, it's just as a document. You call it that is intended curriculum, or planned curriculum, or formal curriculum, or prescribed, or official curriculum. But now when teachers are teaching this curriculum, it's no longer a book now, they are teaching it. So you would call that representation, it's implemented curriculum or enacted curriculum or practiced curriculum. So what is the difference between implemented and enacted? Implemented curriculum, it means you are following a prescribed document to teach the curriculum. But enacted curriculum, it means you are using your experience to teach the curriculum. So you are not following the prescribed document as it is, but you use your experience to teach the curriculum. That's what enacted means. So practice then is when you practice the curriculum, you put it in practice. Then another layer as well, where people can talk about learners to say learners have failed or have passed, etc., etc. They are talking about curriculum as attained or achieved or assessed. So it's assessed curriculum or attained curriculum or achieved curriculum. Achieved by who? By learners. We check that through the learners' positions. So that's what we have. But in bringing this together, then you can see here that these are just approaches to curriculum that are competing, which is a plan for teaching and learning, where you have a document, a specific document that you have to follow. When you use the curriculum concept or terms, we call that performance curriculum, because you'll be judged according to your performance of mastering the content. So content has to be mastered in order for us to judge you as an excellent student or a poor student. Now, here in this performance curriculum, where we are saying curriculum is a plan for teaching and learning, we must have a plan. We must have a plan first, lesson plan, before we teach. In this context, we cannot teach without a plan. We need a plan, and then we just follow the plan. So when we follow that plan, we make sure that learners are mastering the content. We drill them with the content. And then when you answer the questions then here, because we want knowledge. So we deal with the questions of what content, what objectives, what goals, what resources, what we deal with what. So the what is important here, because whatever we are asking here is prescribed somewhere. All what you need to do is to go there and pick it up. When you say, what content should we teach? We have a book that prescribes the content step by step. If we say, what resources should we use? If it is overhead projector, is written there in the lesson plan that take the overhead projector, use the overhead projector. If we say, what objectives, we'll take them from where they are prescribed. So all the issues, that's why we end our questions here when we teach from this position, which is the performance curriculum. So when we teach it there, all what we do is to say, what is this? And then what is it? So we answer the what question. But when we move from there to here under the competence-based curriculum, in fact, we are saying this is competence-based curriculum because it's taken from industrial world where employees were trained to master specific competencies. So if they had to be trained as bricklayers, they were going to follow certain specific competencies to say, you must be able to use a spirit level, you must be able to, so those competencies were measured from those employees when they were trained. So when they mastered those, and then they were, the process was given the concept of competence-based curriculum. in education, because we enjoy borrowing from other sectors, then we started to borrow that and start to change to say it's outcomes-based education or outcomes-based something, where we are answering the how part of what we are doing. So we are not interested in knowing what content, but we are interested in knowing on how can we achieve these learning outcomes. So we have specific learning outcomes that we need to achieve. Then we deal with those learning outcomes in terms of achievement. So let me give you an example of how this thing is articulated. If I was to teach my learners, how to design a table using computers, taking it from performance curriculum where learners have to perform, and then we judge them based on their performance. So all what we do then in this case, we simply say, before I go to teach these learners how to use computers to draw a table, then I will first need to have a model of a table, which will be reproduced by these learners. Number two, I will need to know what steps or what resource, in other words, what software should I use? Is it Excel, Microsoft Word, or is it Microsoft Access? So I will take that specific software. I'll make sure that these computers will have this specific software. And then after that, I will go and search for steps that are used when you use Microsoft Excel to design the table. This particular table that I have. You see, all these things are prescribed and they are out there, they are published out there. All what you do as the teacher then is to print them, print the model of a table, bring to your class, steps to design the table, bring to your class, and then you make sure that computers have the software called Microsoft Excel if you are using Microsoft Excel. And then you also know your position that you will be instructing these learners to do this. They will repeat this. And then the last part of it, it's where you will have to use summative assessment. So you'll give them a test so that you see what exactly is still missing in terms of their cognitive processes. Then you will deal with that issue like that. You see you'll take them step by step, they'll produce the table. After producing the table, you'll go back to say, let's do it again and again. They can repeat it 10 times or 20 times until the period is over, then they leave. But if you take the opposite to that, because here we are asking what content, what steps, what this, but this side we are saying how to produce the table. Therefore, we have the outcome, and then we take learners to a computer laboratory and simply say, here are computers, please design a table. Use these computers to produce a table. So all what learners will do, they will reflect what they are using at their particular environment. Those whose families are using Microsoft Excel, learners will use Microsoft Excel. The families that use Microsoft Word for table, the learners will use Excel. So it will depend what they use in their real environment, which is their home or community. So they'll bring it here. So when you ask them to say, design the table, all what they'll do, they'll design according to what they do in their real environment. So if they use Microsoft Word, they'll use that. So as the teacher then, once they produce the table, we need to go around, facilitate, and take one who has used Microsoft Word and one who has used Microsoft Excel and one who have used Microsoft Access. Ask them to demonstrate without giving them the content of a table and a step. Just ask them to demonstrate. So now you can see that learners now are producing content which they've used to achieve the outcome, which is to produce the table. Therefore, in the competence-based curriculum, learners come with their experiences. When they have their experiences, they use their experiences to produce what will be required in order for them to achieve the outcomes. They've achieved the outcomes. So in terms of assessment, they've used the so-called peer assessment, because when this one learner was demonstrating in front, then others started to assess the learner to say, no, I like so and so's table. It's simpler than that of so and so and so and so and so and so. Then they'll follow that. So you have these two giants that have been competing all these years. Therefore, as they may competing like that, you need to understand now what are they doing in this competition, because here they're saying how the outcomes are being achieved, whether they're at the lower level or middle or the higher order level. That is not important. What is important is that the outcome have been achieved. That's why in curriculum 2005, we were unable to compete with learners from other countries because we were only achieving outcomes that were locally to us. Therefore, when we are given international curriculum to deal with, it was difficult for us. Then the department decided to say, no, let's change now to a content-driven approach, where we'll simply say, what content do these other countries, developed countries, use? What resources, what this? Then we use the same thing they use. Then CAPS is coming with that element. So then curriculum, when the curriculum then is designed, there are different concepts that are used or different terms that are used. The one that are mostly used for performance curriculum is called instrumental. And then others would say technical is following something specific, step by step. Others would say vertical, because you start from one, you cannot jump 1, 2, 3, but you should go from one. It's compulsory that you go from 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. But when you take the opposite to that, they will say it's horizontal, because if my community deal with is learning 5, therefore, as young as they may be, I will know how to write 5, or I'll deal with 5. I'll be familiar with 5 because it's not compulsory, it's about what the community is doing. So if they decide to deal with 5 when they calculate or count according to 5, it's up to that community. Therefore, it's horizontal, because you can start if you have a straight line, you can start anywhere. But when you take it vertical, it means you start from 1 and go up, you see. And then they also call this performance curriculum traditional approach. I don't know why they call it, but they say it's traditional because it has to follow the same traditional rule, the rules that are prescribed. This one, they say it's outcomes driven. This side, they may also call it qualification. So in other words, when you use performance curriculum, at the end of what you are doing, you must have a qualification, a certificate, a license. You will be given a license. So after mastering the content, because here it's about mastering the content to get 100%, etc., etc. And then this side is for socialization. It has to help you to be able to communicate, to socialize with your community members. So in other words, it has to help you to acquire the skills that will help you to survive in your community. It's not necessarily that you must pass with 100, get 7, achieve 7. As long as you pass, it's okay, because we have achieved the skills that will help you to deal with your issues, your family issues, or your community issues. That's why others would say, no, I'll leave school because I am a good soccer player. Then they leave school maybe as far as grade 4, and then they become dominating players maybe in that particular country, but they don't have that matric qualification, you see, something like that. So this side under competence-based curriculum is just to master certain competencies that can help you to survive. But they also, another term that they normally use, other writers would say, referring to performance curriculum, they would say it's collection, because in terms of collection, in terms of subjects, each subject has its own terms, advanced terms that may not be shared with the other subjects. Like, for example, in South Africa with CAPS, maths is standing on its own, physics is standing on its own. Therefore, the formula that are used in mathematics, you can hardly use in physics, because there are advanced stages of physics that may need physics formula in order to deal with those issues. That's why it's a collection. But when they say is integration, it's indicating that in curriculum 2005, we had maths, technology, physics together as one learning area. So if they say integrated curriculum, we don't have subjects, we'll only have learning area where you combine subjects that are related. Then you have one learning area. That's why they say integrated. But in terms of collection, each subject is collecting its own terms that need to be used by that particular subject only. When you move to when they say positivist, is when you deal with research. For sure, in understanding research, you learn about this paradigm. So this performance curriculum is in line with positivist paradigm, whereas this one, it's in line with interpretivist paradigm, etc. So those that are saying there are many answers out there, but this one is saying there's only one answer. In terms of management, when you go to management, leadership and management, they'll tell you about instructional leadership. They'll say this is instructional leadership, referring to those who were produced through performance curriculum. And then this side, they say transformational leadership, those who were produced by competence-based curriculum. You see, these forms of curriculum are producing people. When they are produced, they use all these terms. This side, they are talking about bureaucratic systems. This side, democratic processes, so that people have to vote for that particular thing, take the need. But this side, we have to just conduct a research. Everyone must follow that research. It's a bureaucratic structure. Here we are addressing professional need. We have professions that are coming from here. So those professions then are produced by performance curriculum. So teaching profession, lawyers profession, all these professions are coming from there. So when you deal with the needs of your profession, then the approach you normally take is that of performance curriculum, because it addresses the needs of your profession. But this side, it addresses the societary need. Society are investing on their children to go to school in order to come back with skills that will be used in those societies to address what they need. So they have the needs, and then they'll use that in particular way like that. So the opposite here, when they say technical, here they will simply say, we're talking about practical, something that you can see and touch, etc. But this side is something that is following specific steps. When they say here is communicative, they are saying when you design curriculum, you invite all stakeholders, you communicate, and then you ask them what they want. They'll tell you exactly what they want. What they want will then, if they have a problem that they want different things, then they will have to vote. Then the majority will then, so in other curriculum will follow what the majority rule will be guiding them. So that's what these two are competing. So in other words, you have your performance curriculum, which is a plan for teaching and learning, and that which is a document, documented, which always start with a prescribed document. Then you have a competence-based curriculum, which is defined as a plan of teaching and learning, where you use your experience to achieve certain outcomes. Those outcomes will then be achieved through your experience, which we have accumulated from your society or from your family. So that's what these two are saying here. So to go more, you can see them how they are competing even here. So I have this nice table for you to help you to articulate them, that the reason for teaching this side, it can be that you want them to get a certain qualification, certificate, issue a certificate. But this side, they must be able to debate, socialize, play, and doing all those things. That is the main aim of this. So in other words, if you want to teach your learners to play, to be able to play, to debate, to defend themselves, even after they've broken the rules, you must teach them, follow the competence-based curriculum. It will help you to achieve that. But if you want to issue a certificate, you must make sure that you follow the performance curriculum, because you'll be given specific time where you'll have to follow specific step up until you issue the qualification, which is the certificate. So in terms of knowledge, use this side, the content, this side, the content here is researched so that it will be prescribed according to a specific subject or profession or course, but it has specific content. This side, we use what the community it's using, whatever content. If this community is milking cows, so what we do then, we'll take the milking of cow as the content of what we are doing, and then we take it from there. That is everyday knowledge. We take it from what we are doing in the area, in our local areas, localized, then we take it and use it from there. So in terms of pedagogy here, we use content-centeredness. So it is to be driven by drilling and all those methods that will be able to help us, to help learners to master the content. That's what we do. But this side, we take it according to the needs of our communities, and then through learners, we find out exactly what these communities are expecting, and then we give some specific activities to our learners so that learners will work with those activities. Then we start to identify, oh, okay, our community is in need of this, therefore we teach that more than what we can teach when we deal with performance curricula. And then here, all in terms of learners don't have a control this side, because all what they have to do, they are treated as empty vessels where teachers are expected to give them the subject and drill them with the content. Drill them with the content. So drilling them with the content, it will then help them to understand what that specific profession is looking for. When this learner is moving to maybe to UK, the learner will use that information because school knowledge is internationalized. It's what all countries are doing. So if it is in mathematics, all of them are doing factorization, are doing this. So it will be prescribed. So learners don't have control because they are not professional yet. So they have to follow what the professional will be doing. So in terms of competence-based, the goal there is to make sure that you achieve the learning outcomes. Whether the learning outcomes are of higher order, lower order, higher, it doesn't matter. For example, if they say you must be able to produce a table, whether that table has 3 rows and 2 columns, it doesn't matter. The fact that you have produced the table, you have achieved the outcome. But if you were to to be taught the same thing from performance curriculum. They were going to prescribe the table and the borders of the table and all this and the software to be used. That was going to be prescribed for you. This side, you work as an instructor. We instruct learners what to do. This side, the teachers are facilitators. They facilitate. After they've given these learners some activities, they'll go around to say, okay, let's see how many of you have used Microsoft Word, and take one from Microsoft Word, one from Microsoft Excel, one from Microsoft Access, and ask those learners to demonstrate as part of his or her facilitation. Then from there, learners will choose which software would they like to use. And the teacher will also be learning as part of the facilitation. In terms of assessment, under performance curriculum, we assess what is absent. We focus on what is missing. So in other words, when they write test, here's this learner is writing a test, and then he achieved 80%. Those from competence-based curriculum, because they look for what is present. So they will say, good, 80, excellent, and they celebrate. But those from this side, they will simply say, no. Guys, be real here. How can we celebrate if this learner has just achieved 80%? What about the 20% that is missing? When we taught this learner, we're expecting 100%. What about the 20% then? Why do we have to say we must celebrate that this learner is cognitively missing 20%? That is not fair, you see. That's not fair, because we taught them for 100%. But this side, we say, they've achieved the outcomes. Even if they get 50 or 40, they've achieved the outcomes. So celebrate. So this side, then in terms of goals, they deal with objectives. You know, these are teacher-specific goals, which the teachers will set there for them to achieve. But the outcomes are learners' goals. They are achieved by learners towards the end of the lesson. In terms of learning platform, remember this side, everything is prescribed. So we prescribe the place where these learners should go in order to learn. So that's why, even in my case, I prescribe to say we'll use Zoom meeting. So it's prescribed, we know exactly where we'll be learning. And then this side, we can learn anywhere, at home, etc., etc. We learn wherever we are, and then we say we are learning. In terms of this so-called school knowledge or scientific or specialized knowledge versus everyday knowledge, school knowledge is from a specific subject or discipline or profession. Is prescribed there. When they say school knowledge, it's something that is prescribed. All what you do, just research and get it. But everyday knowledge, you can hear from TV, etc., but it's randomly learned from conversation, etc. And then, school knowledge then is starting from simple, because it's systematic. You start from simpler to complex. But this side, you can start anywhere. That's why I said it's horizontal. You can start anywhere and learn according to that community. If that community is dealing with 10, you learn 10 unstructured. You may realize when you meet these from this side to say that, no, how can you talk about 10 if you don't know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up until 9? So, but this side, we are not worried about that, because they only achieve, they are concerned with the local issues that they are trying to achieve. This side, everything is written down, because if you say you try to phone me, I'll simply say that in writing, so that I'll have documentation whenever I have to take you to court. But this side, you can be oral, so that like what most of our politicians are doing. They'll tell you this statement, and then tomorrow they simply say, no, 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 you quoted me out of context, blah, 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 something like that. But this side, you cannot allow those to tell you, but you ask them to write that down so that you have something that is written down. So we prescribe everything, we write down everything this side. So now, then this side, then it can be true to many different contexts. So if you say factorization, you do this, you go to any country in the world, you will do the same factorization. But this side is only for that particular context, only that particular area. If, for example, if we decide to eat soil in my area where I am right now, it doesn't mean that people in the world are eating soil. No, it will only be my area that is eating soil. But this side, the whole world should eat soil if soil has to be eaten. And then this side, they rely on facts, research facts. So in other words, conduct studies, test, bring evidence. Then you say, yeah, this is true. But this side, they rely on people's opinion. If my grandfather enjoyed eating birds, then I will just follow that because I follow the opinion of my grandfather. So this side, they talk about national curriculum or international curriculum, but this side, they are talking about family curriculum, community curriculum. They based on certain culture or certain community. So that's what everyday knowledge is working. Then the main question will be, so what? Should we follow the performance curriculum? Or should we follow the competence-based curriculum where we are dealing with our societal needs? Or should we deal with the professional needs of performance curriculum? The answer to that will be that you should go deeper to you first and find the so-called personal curriculum. Normally we use pragmatic curriculum, something that is working for you. So if it is working for you, then you take it from there. For example, if those who are coming with from performance curriculum, doctors will simply prescribe to say, we must all eat meat in the morning. But only to find that you are allergic to meat, then how then will you going to survive if you eat meat because it's prescribed by your doctor through his profession? You see, or your community saying we are celebrating, we must all eat meat. Then when we celebrate, we must eat meat is a demand from our society. So, but knowing exactly that when you eat meat, you suffer, you are allergic to meat. When you eat meat all the time, you have a problem with your stomach. So now, what then should you do? So what should you do? Should you follow that demand from your society that you must eat meat although you are allergic to it? Or should you follow the doctors, professional doctors, when they say they've tested this meat is working for everyone, yet for you is not working? That's where pragmatic or performance curriculum or the so-called curriculum differentiation, according to that department, is curriculum differentiation. You now need to understand your identity first. Go deeper to your subconscious mind and find out exactly what intelligence have you been using in order to create this handsome and beautiful body of yours. You see how beautiful is this body of yours? It's so beautiful in such a way that, man, even the lion can wish to eat this particular body of yours. So, which means there's this intelligence inside you that has created this big body. This big body, this institution of your body has been built by a certain intelligence. is the intelligence that we need in writing this, in writing your assignment of this module. I'm not demanding that you must tell me more, bring more what your friends are saying about this particular, about your teaching, or what profession are saying about your teaching. I want to know exactly what do you say about your teaching. So in other words, when you say what we are saying, I want you to consider your need, your situation. It should be based on your need and your situation. And then when you start to teach, you must ask the question, who am I teaching? Am I teaching learners with blindness? Am I teaching learners with deafness? Then you must be able to teach according to that. Because if you say, if you take from a performance curriculum to say, I'm talking about quality education from those who are coming from performance curriculum, it means learners are able to master the content and reproduce the content as it was given to them by their teachers. That's quality education. So what if I can't do that? And then the opposite to that, they'll say, as long as you achieve the skills that are needed by your society, that's quality education. You are able to debate, you are able to socialize. That's quality education for performance-based, for competence-based curriculum. So now, none of these two is innocent. Therefore, because of that, we need to start to say, what can we do then? We need to look at the need. What do we need right now? If you're a teacher, what do you need as a teacher in order to perform at your best? And then what your learners need in order to perform at their best. So in other words, we need to know who are we dealing with here in order to say we have quality. And then you ask the question of now, a philosophical question that will say why we have to do that. For example, if you were to come to me and start to say, is stealing good or bad? I cannot answer you without knowing who we are addressing in terms of yes, of good or bad. Because look at it. If you say stealing is bad, and then you come across thieves, you are not going to access what you need from those thieves because you said stealing is bad. So for thieves, stealing is good. That's why they are stealing. They steal because it's good. But for the victim, then stealing is bad. So all is in our subconscious mind. Therefore, don't respond without knowing who exactly are you trying to address here with your answer. Your answer is subject to particular individuals. Yes, that's what is happening here. Even if you say, this is our king, we must respect our king, or this is our president. So no one will play around with our president. But take the same president and put him, or president or king, put him put him with lions. And then you see then lions are not going to, because that title of being president and king is existing in human mind or to certain individuals. It's inside us, but it's not really in a real world. Because you take the same person, put it with lions there, and see if lions will still respect that person as our president. They'll just eat the person because you give them food. For lions, that's food. Therefore, all what we see in this universe is happening in our subconscious mind. We must be aware of that. The earlier you become aware that is only existing in your subconscious mind, then the earlier you are able to articulate your way according to what the universe is expecting you to do, and you become happy. If you are happy at your age of 5 years, 10 years, etc., you need to grow that happiness so that when you turn 40, you are more happier than what you had when you were 30. And then you grow your happiness. But if you are not aware of the issue that you have this internal intelligence of yours that you need to grow, when you go to people, you must express it. But if you're a victim of performance curriculum or competence-based curriculum, all what you do, you will be chasing professionals, thinking that they'll give you happiness. Yes, for professionals, they think that other professionals will give them happiness. Therefore, they forget, they lose their internal intelligence and chase a certain profession. At the same time, when you follow if you're a victim of competence-based curriculum, you will follow group of people all the time to say, oh, my community is saying this. Whether you are allergic to meat, when they eat meat, you will eat it and suffer there. You don't care whether you die, you die because of meat, because you are allergic to meat. That is not important because we're a victim of competence-based curriculum. Therefore, you are following other people and you even use other people as your role models. Same thing applies when we're a victim of performance curriculum. You will always follow professions. When the doctors say, no, now let's eat meat in the morning, whether you are allergic to it, you will eat it because you believe in them more than what is happening in your internal intelligence. But then I am asking you here now to say, you have seen how performance curriculum is performing, how competence-based curriculum is performing. I'm asking you now to say, no, let's go deeper now to your internal intelligence that managed to build that institution you call your body. You see how beautiful is that body, how handsome is that body. If you have something that can build that institution, definitely you are the king of this whole world. You are the king of all of us. But if you are not aware, in order to use the intelligence, will overpower you, you'll keep on chasing us, yet we are using our intelligence to continue to be happy. We'll always be happy. You see us, you come across us while we are 100 years old, we are still happy and our happiness is growing because we are using our own internal intelligence to grab issues of performance curriculum and issues of competence-based curriculum. We marry them. When we need them, we take them and then combine them to produce what we need. And then we excel in life because of that. That's what I am asking you to do. Use this module to achieve that. Understand the pragmatic curriculum, which has to do with the need and your internal intelligence. So I'll send you an article, part of your article is on the learning space. It will be the one that will help you with the pragmatism approach. What is it exactly? So you will know that you have your internal intelligence, which you should use. And then when people come with the actions from performance curriculum or competence-based curriculum, be able to evaluate them with your intelligence and then take what you need, push away what you don't need, but don't try to follow them according to their need. People have their unique need. Animals have their unique need. They use their intelligence to identify and address their needs. That's what we need to do as well. So in doing so, we are able to address the question of who are we addressing here, and also why are we addressing those individuals. That's the philosophical question. So here are some of the concepts that I accumulated together with Professor Jan van den Eken, who ended up calling this curriculum spider web. But I call them, these are curriculum concepts or curriculum signals that we come across when we teach. You see these signals, and you miss one of these, and then your whole curriculum started to give you some challenges. For example, when you teach, you must have some goals. Inside there, you must have the reason. Why are you teaching? The reason for your teaching. You must have some goals, whether you want to use aims as goals or objectives or outcomes, etc. And then we have all these concepts that you may identify here, but balancing them will produce a pragmatic curriculum that will be able to draw from both competence-based and performance curricula. So this is where I also put them. I also put them like this to say your reason. So in the table, so you see these are concepts that are familiar to you. I'm sure you know this concept. It's just that we are not aware that these are the curriculum concepts which are used by different professions to dominate, or these people who have achieved highly in this world, they've been using these. It's just that they've been using different terms, but nothing new. I'm sure you've seen them. And they've also framed some questions here to say, if you say your reason, which is a rationale, you must ask, why are you teaching? Why am I teaching? Am I teaching for pragmatic curriculum so that I'm able to address issues from my internal intelligence? Or am I teaching here driven by competence-based curriculum where I want these learners to be able to socialize? Or am I teaching them in order to achieve higher marks, which is performance curriculum? So, but when you teach in such a way that you are aware of the reason for your teaching. And then the goals. Which goals are you using here? Are you driving this with aims or objectives or outcomes? Understand this, read on these things. And then when it comes to resources, are you dealing with hardware resources or software resources or ideological resources? When you assess, how do you assess then learning? Do you use assessment for learning, which is formative assessment, or assessment of learning, which is summative assessment, or you use assessment as learning? It's up to you how to use that. So when you divide content, then what are you teaching? Are you, if it is mathematics, are you teaching geometry today, trigonometry, etc., etc.? Your subject has different issues that you may teach. In terms of grouping, who are you teaching and with who? With whom are you teaching? So who are you teaching? With whom are you teaching? So there are other teachers around you who may influence, like your HOD, your principal, your curriculum specialist. They may influence that. When you define group here, you must define them. Who are they and who are you teaching again? So who are your learners? In terms of their physical ability, their financial ability, and their cultural ability. So you define these people who will be contributing in this group, the group that you are teaching. And then what will be your role? How are you going to facilitate? As the instructor, which is more performance, as facilitator, which is more competence-based, or are you going to just manage, or are you assessor? We see there are quite a number of roles that you can play. Therefore, you need to know your role in teaching. And environment, are you teaching face-to-face? Are you teaching online? Are you teaching blended learning, which is a combination of face-to-face and that? You must define that as well so that you have relevant tools for that. And then activities, are these activities learner-centered or competent or teacher-centered or content-centered? What kind of activities are you trying to articulate here? Timing, are you using the time as days or week or hours? It's up to you. But you can see that you know all these concepts, these curriculum concepts. So some of these are the ones that we have been using all this time to achieve higher marks. So what are they then in terms of your teaching philosophy? Your teaching philosophy now will start to draw from these concepts to say, this is what I'm doing. For example, I said when it comes to Ralph Taylor, for him, you started there with objectives, and then you go to the content, you go to resources, and end with assessment. Those are the four that are important for Ralph Taylor, which is more of performance because it's drilling learners with that content. But if you go to Roland Stenhouse will simply say, no, you must try to first give them activities. So give them activities to say, here are computers as resources, and the activities there to produce the table. You see now starting with resources and activities. But first, he will give them the outcome. What is the outcome? The outcome is that you will be able to produce a table by the end of this lesson. Then the teacher will give them the activities and resources. They will play with activities in order to achieve the outcomes. So the teacher will just only facilitate. The role of the teacher would be to facilitate. You see, they are both teaching, but using different approaches. But you look at Paul Frere. Paul Frere will simply say, no. I will start with the learners. I will start with here in the group to say, who are these learners first? Are these learners with learning with deafness or blindness? What are they using on their daily basis? Or they use a jaw because they cannot see. Then you teach them according to jaw or braille, which is used by those with learning with blindness. So he will simply say, let's start with who. Whereas Ralph Taylor will start with what, which is performance. And then Lawrence Stenhouse will start with how, which is competence-based. And then Paul Frere is starting to say, no, let's pragmatize it. Let's see what is working. But to who this thing is working, who are we teaching? Then we define those first, and then you go according to that. So when you start now to reflect back, writing your teaching philosophy, please remember that we do have these. We have come across most of these, if not all of them. Therefore, make use of them and reflect back which of these were useful to you, and then you use them according to their strength. I also have to put them like this to say, if pragmatic curriculum is trying to combine this, here are the specific issues that are mainly used. Because in terms of goals, pragmatically, we can use aims, because aims are long-term goals. Long-term goals can be achieved through outcomes or objectives. Therefore, we are able to marry that to marry the performance curriculum as well as the competence-based curriculum. When it comes to assessment, look at assessment. We are talking about formative assessment, because any question that I ask learners is part of formative assessment. So when I come to the class to say, good morning, Students, how are you? I'm starting the formative assessment. That's formative assessment. So formative assessment, then from this side, we have summative assessment, which will say you write a test or exam, pass or fail, and then that's all. Because the expectation after mastering the content is we are expected to get 100%. This side, you have the very same thing where you have outcomes or peer assessment, where you ask learners to demonstrate and others will deal with peer. They'll peer assess those who are writing, those who are demonstrating their table. So here are the concepts that I've identified in my paper, one of the paper that you will read there via learning space, that these are the concepts that for me, I've identified them as the neutral concept that combine competence-based curriculum and performance-based curriculum. So whichever is coming from that side can be accommodated within the frame of performance of pragmatic curricula, which is personal, which is more of which deal with internal intelligence. Okay, then when you have that, okay, to demonstrate another example so that you know what exactly is the difference. For performance curriculum, because they are talking about their profession. So it's about a specific profession. Therefore, things are prescribed according to the rules of that profession. For example, if I say, I create this as a share, here's the share. Everyone will have to treat this as a share. If you treat it otherwise, we are breaking the rules. Therefore, this profession that created this may even arrest you or punish you for that, because it was designed to be a share. That's the share, we don't change. But what about then if I come from the competence-based curriculum? If my grandmother used this as the flower pot or flower stand, I will continue to use in my community or in my family as a flower stand. I'm not going to know that this was designed to be a share. And it's not important whether to know, because all what I rely on here is the opinion of my grandmother, who have started to use this as a flower pot. That's what in competence-based curriculum are doing. So they believe in the opinion of the elders. So whosoever have used this as a flower stand or pot, then they will always use it like that. Even if you ask them to say, can I use this as a share? They say, no, 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 no. This is a flower stand. But what about it then if we say we want to combine this? We'll take the pragmatic approach of it to say, we first want to know, what do we need today? Or today, I need a table. So I'll then use this thing as a table. So this thing will work as a table in order to address my personal need for the day. If I need a flower stand, then I'll change this thing to say, it's a flower stand now. You see, I move with the need and the situation. The situation will tell me, what do I need today? Then I'll use this according to that. So that's why then in South Africa, they are saying now they are trying a journey of curriculum differentiation, because they've used performance curriculum in the previous years as Christian national education as a curriculum. Before 1998, we had Christian national education as a curriculum. And then 1998, we had a competence-based curriculum, which is curriculum 2005, which was a competence-based curriculum. But both of those did not work. Then we started to come back to say, let's go back to performance curriculum again, which is CAPS. We brought back CAPS because we are trying to combine and see what is working. Now the department is talking about the curriculum differentiation, which is a pragmatic curriculum, where you simply say, what do we need? What kind of learners do we need today? Then you work according to that. If it needs more of performance than of competence-based, then you draw according to that. So that's a good example of putting this into practice, that in performance curriculum, we prescribed everything. So when we design it, everyone must follow that. One size fits all, must follow that. But this side, we based on someone's opinion, that who was using, what was this, how was this thing used? It was used as a flower pot. And then, so in other words, we say what is here, how do we use it here? And then here, we simply start to say who needs this thing? And then we define this thing according to the need of the person who needs it. That's that. Another example is where you have to see in terms of our research, is that a lion feeds on zebra and others. Therefore, the fact will be that according to those who are coming from performance curriculum, they will always say the zebra will always run away from the lion. So the lion will chase the zebra, because in order for the lion to have food, it has to kill the zebra. Therefore, this side, they will always say the order. Research will say the lion will chase the zebra in order to feed. But we may have in a situation where we like zebra so much that we want to give it more power than the lion. Then we start to say, no, you know, a stallion, when you bring a stallion, a zebra stallion, that stallion may kick the lion. Therefore, it can chase the lion, as you can see there, that the zebra is chasing the lion. That's the opinion of this community. Our opinion can change what this site may call fact into our own everyday knowledge. And then when we teach our learners, we teach that no, you must respect zebra, because zebra is good. It has a power of a lion. It can do this and this and this. Yet we are just pushing our opinion so that our children will have that opinion of seeing lions running away from zebras. That's what we create in our subconscious mind, so that when we train our learners, we train them with something giving power, although that something does not have power over the other, but we can create it in the subconscious mind, so that when our children grow, they grow with that opinion of seeing lion, of imagining, or of creating in their subconscious mind, creating a world where lions are running away from zebras. But when you go to a real situation, you find that it's something else. The lie is the opposite. But those who are coming from performance curriculum, the professionals, they conduct studies and go out there and observe the behavior of the zebras and the lions and bring that back and call this the facts. Here are the facts. So now when you create this world, the world where lions are feeding or chasing zebra, it will be based on performance curricula. But if you have created it like this, it will be based on competence-based curriculum, where someone with his or her opinion taught you to behave like this. So much that when we talk about now pragmatic curriculum, which is curriculum differentiation, which address personal needs, that's where we now to start to say, doing honors, it's about being leading in this world. Therefore, for me to lead, I'll only lead if I understand my own internal intelligence. I first reflect on my own internal intelligence, while I'm aware that professionals will tell me about lion chasing zebra, and then my community will tell me about zebra chasing lion, then I must now graduate from those areas. You need time now to graduate. This is the time for you to graduate, because we have been following these professionals and these societies all these years since you were born. You've been following them. You became a victim of them. So you even changed some of them to be your role models, etc., etc. But now we have the opportunity to say, reflect back, stand back, use your conscious mind now to challenge and interrogate your subconscious mind. Because all these things, all these issues that the lion is chasing zebra, and these are created right in your subconscious mind. So now go back to your subconscious mind, challenge it. Let's challenge the subconscious mind in such a way that we produce new us that will come with this visible internal intelligence. Because all the time you find that we follow what professionals are saying, and we believe them. Yet we have our own internal intelligence that has produced this big institution. Look at your body. Look at your body. If you have something that has taken food combined with water and produce that beautiful and handsome body, then you can deal with that, deal with anything in this world. We should be following you. Why are you following us? We are following us because we are not aware of this particular internal intelligence. Once you become aware of it, you will lead us. That's what we will enjoy. To see you leading. When you come to us, you express your own happiness taken from your intelligence. So now, how then what should we see as the fight of these two elements? We should see something like this. We need to work in such a way that in your world, you have lion and the zebra. They are both in need of water. Therefore, the need is water. So you don't look them as the lion and the zebra, but you look at them as the universe species that need water without giving that difference. And then once you imagine yourself like that, you may simply start to say, if someone needs some hug, you don't see whether it's lion or it's the zebra, but it's a hug. A hug should be a hug. But at the moment you use then to start to say, this is a zebra, this is a lion, you're not going to get the hug because your needs are not going to be addressed. So your needs need to be addressed. Therefore, when you deal with curriculum, deal with it at that level. So in South Africa, then when we look at curriculum, we have schools. 80% of our schools are under-resourced. They don't have enough resources. That is hardware, software, and even the theories of teaching sometimes they are low because our teachers are not trained to deal with those issues. Therefore, all what they do, they just follow. That's why now they have lower performance in that. And then the 20%, which these schools that we used to call Model C schools, ex-Model C schools, they have enough resources. They have qualified teachers. They have teachers who are examiners. They know all this story. That's why their learners are performing high. They are performing there. Yes, and they are rich. They can do whatever they do. So what happened then to these learners then? But what is important here is that whether you are from this school or this school, it doesn't matter. If you know your internal intelligence, you'll produce amazing resources. That's what you'll do. But because we are trained to be divided like this, then you'll see that most of these schools, they use performance curriculum. Even during the time of curriculum 2005, ex-Model C school were using, they were still drilling learners with content. They had to draw prescribed content and drill them with that, so that even if they write international tests, they could be able to understand those that content part from the chapters that are given, that are set as part of those tests. So, but when you move then to tertiary, we are expected, we have about 50 TVET colleges, where if you have grade 9, you can access these TVET colleges, or you failed matric, you can access them. And then we also have 5 research-intensive universities. These are universities where they are not allowed to start learners with diplomas. They are supposed to start learners with degree. So in South Africa, we have 5 of those. And then we have 6 universities of technology. Those we used to call technicons. So there are 6 in South Africa. And then we have 15 comprehensive universities. Comprehensive universities are those universities who may start to learn our students with diplomas, et cetera. So education is open in South Africa. So our curriculum then is accommodating all of us. We can do, if we don't have matric, I'll go to TVET college, then I'll learn there how to fix things. And then if I have achieved many 7s, I'll come to you to university research intensive universities, and then I'll do my degree there. But if I feel that I need more practical on what I want to do, I can go to TVET, to University of Technology, or I can go to Comprehensive University. So these are universities that we have there. But research-intensive universities are there to represent South Africa as a developed country. But then University of Technology and other comprehensive universities, they represent South Africa as a developing country. So they are there for certain purpose. Look at that difference here. If I was to be saying, I want to be a mechanical engineer, but I failed grade 12, but I still want to continue to tertiary, I can go to TVET college there. When you're at TVET college, they will teach you how to fix. So in other words, how to fix the car. They will give you a course in panel beating, fitting, and turning. So you are able to fix things that need to be fixed. So these things are there, but they need to be fixed. But if you were to go to University of Technology, they will teach you how to assemble things, how to bring things together. But when you go to university, they will teach you how to design. That's why part of this module, you will have to design a course or a lesson plan or curriculum so that when you go back to your school, you don't bother your school with templates to say, where is the lesson plan template? But all what you'll do, you'll take your own design and implement it. Yes, because we have studied at university, therefore we are expected to design, not to take design from other people. Yes, but if you were to come from University of Technology, yes, you could borrow some of those and then use them, because you can't design, you can only assemble. So in terms of the car, in practice, if we design a new car, university professionals, professional engineers will design a car to say the engine must be like this and this and this and this. They will draw it and take it to one of the company cars to say, we take you to Toyota. Here's the car now that you need to deal with. In there, you'll find someone from the University of Technology who will say, aha, thank you. I can read this plan. I can read this curriculum, which was designed by the person from the university. So, yes, which this person is a professional engineer, mechanical engineer. So this one from the University of Technology is called mechanical technologist. He's a technologist. So his work there is to assemble this. When he receives the plan, he will be able to order all the parts of this car and assemble the car. So when you go to Toyota there, you'll see how these are nice cars, but they are there because they were designed by professional engineers from university and then assembled by mechanical technologists from University of Technology. When your car need to be fixed outside that workshop. So for instance, your car is smashed by another car. You need someone to beat it. You don't take it back to someone from the university or someone from the University of Technology, but you'll only take it and give it to someone from TVET colleges who is running a workshop on beating. That's what is happening there. So where are these universities then? So here are the universities. The first 5 research-intensive universities, 2 of them are in the Western Cape, which is University of Cape Town and the Stellenbosch University. And then KwaZulu-Natal, come to KwaZulu-Natal, you only have 1 research-intensive university, University of KwaZulu-Natal. You go to Pretoria, there are 2. Gauteng, there are 2. There's University of Pretoria and Wits University. But other provinces don't have this research-intensive university, but others do have some universities of technology. Like if you look at Cape Town, has 1 University of Technology, Free State, 1 University of Technology, KwaZulu-Natal, 2 University of Technology, and then you go to Gauteng, 2 universities of technology, and then they are standing like that. But other provinces, they don't have universities of technology and also research-intensive university like Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, all those they don't have there. But they only have comprehensive universities. Here are comprehensive universities where they can offer you a diploma if they find that you are struggling with a degree. Therefore, they can lower the standard to that, because for them, they are just representing South Africa, the local issues of South Africa, because they are helping us to represent South Africa as a developing country. Whereas university research-intensive, the 5 research-intensive universities, those 5 are representing South Africa as that developed country. That's why you see them in the top 500. If you look at these university rankings, they always fight to be in the top 500 because they represent South Africa as the developed country. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the story. But what you need to take here is that you make sure now that you are running away from being a victim of performance curriculum or competence-based curriculum. But now look at the need. Who are we dealing with here? And then play things according to that. You must draw from performance curriculum and competence-based curriculum to match the need and then address the need of this individual person who is in front of us. With those few indications, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to say thank you for being with me, and then we will then see you when I see you again next time. Thank you.